and a 2.
Hello, Music Multiverse listeners. Thank you for joining us here on Album Review Saturday. They don't always happen, so this is a special occasion. But this weekend, we've overindulged. That's right. Too many records we've listened to, and now we just got to vomit it all out and tell you about it. So we're not only bringing you the 3 from today's blog, but we're also going to do 3 more. I know you're jonesing. More on that later. If you're new to Beyond Your Radio, welcome. Please like, comment, and subscribe. With so much music out there in the music multiverse, it's so important we hear from you, what you're listening to, what you're checking out, or what your review might be. Joining me today is the Grateful Dude, and he is sporting some new wares. Look at that. You don't get a Hawaiian Beyond Your Radio shirt. Wow. Yes. That is
Custom made.
custom. Wow. Well,
Yes.
we'll have to start hawking that stuff, huh?
Yep. You too
Yeah,
can get yours for only $49.95.
He's got some feedback for us as he's chiming in on Alice Cooper's Road and Jonas Hellborg's The Concert of Europe. And rounding it out will be Filters the Algorithm. And I'm going to surprise you at the end with 3 more albums that I did listen to and have some comments on. So let's start it off with Jonas Hellborg. Well, first of all, let me give you a little background on me and Mr. Hellborg. Back in 2016, I reviewed I just put out a post that I was listening to Octave of the Holy Innocents with Buckethead and Jonas Hellborg. Now, for obvious reasons, I put Buckethead first because, well, that was the genuine virtuoso of the guitar that I was listening to at the time. And I did not have a grasp of Jonas Hellborg's bass talents at that point. They did reach out to me and tell me to change my post because Hellborg came first, Buckethead is next. Obviously, that is the way it is on the record, and I apologize profusely. What my apology got me 6 years later, basically 7 years later, Bardo Records sending me a chance to review the new album coming out, as well as another album later on in this 3 that I'm going to talk about. So I want to thank Mr. Hellborg and Bardo Records for hanging in there with me in my ignorance, although it was basically a typo of sorts. Don't be mistaken that this is a live concert, although it says the Concert of Europe. Basically, he and 2 other geniuses, and when I use the term geniuses, I do mean it. The 2 other accompanied individuals are pure geniuses at their instruments. This is a studio session that just came about in the mid-1980s, engineered by Tim Hunt, who's accredited with Brian Eno, The Hollies, Fastway, Alvin Lee, and one of the greatest bass players of all time, Hellborg. So, who are the other 2 legends in the room? Well, the first legend is keyboardist and overall maestro of jazz synthetisms, if that's even a word, because it should be, Bernie Worrell. Well, who's Bernie Worrell? Bernie Worrell has worked with Talking Heads, Praxis, George Clinton, Les Claypool, and too many others to mention. And his keyboard that tones, when your ears first grapple with this recording, it's kind of the impression that's left immediately. Who's the other guy in the room? The drummer? Well, why not summon Ginger Baker while you're at it, right? I don't even need to tell you what Ginger Baker's been associated with just about everyone on the planet. So that being said, there's no question that these 3 in one room, you want to be the fly on the wall, and this is your opportunity. Mr. Hellborg resurrected this recording, and I believe it might have been due to the passing of Tim Hunt. I might be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure. You get the master impressions immediately from the sinister tickling intro of Moon Suite, Part 1, because they're kind of tuning up the mood and the modest pace, not modesty pace, lets you in. The organ has some grinding. Ginger's laying down a drum pattern, kind of a march, and Jonas is gradually fattening up the bass lines and one-of-a-kind sounds and bass trickery that, well, he's more known for. By Part 2, it's starting to really creep in, and by Part 3, the pace is on. Obviously, this record paces itself all the way to the very end. The improv moments, which are bombastic, and throughout the record, because I probably don't think, and Jeff will probably back up on this as well, that they probably didn't come in with songs written. This is going between the shifting modulations from Bernie, the feeling it and thumbing it and plucking cleverness of Jonas, and Ginger's kind of holding the line and the drumming and the tempering, the slight movements and shifts. But pay attention here, because he's holding off wickedly for some other reason. He's kind of enjoying the movement, the flow from his chair. It's just pure magic to listen to until the end when he goes, well, ape shit. And then the drumming is on and the ending, which is actually by the name of the engineer, Tim Hunt. There are moments in the recording that are progressive, I believe, like in part 3 of Moon Suite, which have multiple genres tickling in. I even hear a little Western in that bass and drum line. But it's definitely a little darker, moodier, and leading to something that the strings of the bass seem to be lingering a little bit longer. Bass playing from Jonas is beyond bass is evident in Zakir, and the two wise men listening and watching this beautiful accompaniment, they lay down a backing track against it. I'm going to play a track from it right now. From here, it's all out, crescendo to crescendo improvisations, a feast for the ears from all instruments to the end. Remember how I said, that these are 3 geniuses in the room? It's hard to have 3 geniuses in the room, and it might distract from other things going on. But let me tell you that it took me multiple listens before I started to really hear the bass over the keyboard. And then potentially I got back into the drumming. So this is a rather modestly difficult listen. Jeff?
I'll agree with that last statement. It's moderately difficult. Now, me being into all forms of jazz, Ginger Baker is a legend. I have known about him since I was knee high to a tadpole. He is wonderful, one of the best drummers on the face of this earth, jazz or otherwise. The man is brilliant. Jonas Hellborg, not only is he brilliant and good, he plays a double bass, which very few people play. It's basically two heads and 8 strings, and he can jump from one to another. I watched a video yesterday I found on YouTube on him, and he can jump, and he definitely knows his instrument. He can make that thing sing sideways. Did I like the album? Basically, yes. Very hard listen. Very hard listen. You can't really start understanding it until probably the second listen because there's a lot of stuff going on. It's a percussionist's nightmare and a percussioner's
Dream.
heaven all at the same time. Yeah. I really believe they had no idea where they were going. They may have the song title and a few riffs here and there, but these guys just went out. Very interesting album. Very interesting album. As I said, I think I liked Moon Suite was interesting. It started off really slow, but ended up at least making something of itself. But Tim Hunt, the song, it was definitely wild. I really enjoyed it.
Definitely wild.
Wild, right? As I said, this is not going to be for your beginner listener of jazz or fusion jazz or conceptual jazz or spatial jazz or just jazz. It's definitely a hard listen. It's not easy, You have to give it a chance and relax your mind and listen, because there's some surprises in the background. But
Yeah.
I suggest you guys take a listen. Um, all the musicians are worth their weight in gold, all three of them. So
Yeah.
anyway,
That that kind of leaves the idea too that if this is an album that you're hearing right now with us, or you're going to go, the rabbit hole of the three gentlemen is extensive. So enjoy that rabbit hole, because they do a multiplicity of odd things and a multiplicity of standard things. This is a jazz enthusiast who's going to love progressiveness in their jazz, I think. I even, as a one point in there, I'm like, did I just hear London Bridges? I think I did. I think I heard London Bridges. So consider the concept of Europe a moment in time, cultivated, captured for the enjoyment and education of our ears, for progressive jazz lovers all over the world. Now, let's move away from what would be considered a hard listen, a tough listen, to that which is darn right candy, you know?
sugar candy, baby, like
Yes.
honey.
Alice Cooper, Road. You're never too old to rock if you want to rock. And you let it all hang out, great. Alice Cooper's one of those guys. Alice Cooper has been a modest staple in the rock and roll hard rock community, well respected. And because he gets that well respectedness, he gets great musicians to play with him for a long period of time. More on that in a second. Road is another solid recording, done to please the community of his fans, loyalists, and rock and roll lovers in general. Obviously, it's infatuated by the camp and circumstance of the clever Cooper. We're in the community of drinkers of that juice as well, both myself and the Grateful Dude. Road is exactly as it should sound. It's catchy, 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 hooky, hooky, hooky. Hell, it's the hookiest. And maybe even better than that. Elvis Cooper's vocals were, we've known throughout the years, has a bit of strain to it. The tinkerings and alter voice egos that come up in these albums from time to time are always fun. The false drama and melody and harmony is just the roll in the rock. We're probably got some auto tuning going on, considering Cooper's voice, which I don't know, I'm not an aficionado, but it does seem like that way to me. I mean, Christ, this is the 29th studio album. 29. It's crazy. I'm going to play a little bit of The Dead Don't Dance to get a feel for it.
The dead don't dance. The dead don't dance. They just stumble around like zombies in a trance. 'Cause the dead don't dance.
Hear that? That's the return of Kane Roberts, who was with Alice Cooper from 1985 to 1988, which is pretty cool. But we've also got Tom Morello jumping in on here with White Line Frankenstein, which is really a decent alternative type of rock song on here. However, when the solos shine brightest, guess who? Nita Strauss. Nita Strauss is the backbone of Alice Cooper and his band. There's no one nailing it down better in the riff than her. She's even upstaging Tom Morello, who might be on right now one of the greatest guitar players on the planet. So some people are going to say this is so terrible. It's stupid, lowbrow. Perhaps Big Boots, that song, falls into that reasoning. Obviously, they're not talking about Big Boots, but duh. Here's some other things that are pretty stupid. Seinfeld, Friends, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Dumb and Dumber, right? Who gives a shit? It's cool. As long as we highbrowed evolutionary humans suck it down like candy, who cares? I really enjoyed it. Striking its ridiculous chords in all of us. I wouldn't shake it off, and I certainly don't dismiss it. Alice Cooper is a rock gem. And it's a fun road, for that matter. The ringleader and his really good bandmates put on a worthy show. Then you come back out of that, and at the end, you got a little magic bus, right? Why not? Why not throw in a cover, right? What say you, Grateful Dude?
He's back. Wow. When Mark told me he had a new record, I did not really, because the last record he did a few years ago was solid, but not very solid. It was the foundation wasn't there. This album was very cleverly done. It has everything that is Cooper. Um, it's a little bit. This record's a little bit by him about himself. From the first song, "I'm Alice," which is him saying his own praise. Okay, half the songs are about him, his road life, his conquests, or his roadies. It's a very interesting done. The songs are quite ridiculous, all of them, but that doesn't say they're not good. This is old time classic rock. Period. You can't make this stuff up. This is what rock was built on. And his slightly rocky voice was very good on this. For a man of his age to be able to belt out numbers like that, God bless him, because he really, really blew out a great one. I mean, I loved everything on this. I listened to it and then started over again because I just wanted to cement myself in it. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. The band was fantastic, awesome, perfect on point, and being led by a musical genius. I mean, whether you like him or not, I saw him once in concert. It was kind of especially when he bit off something's head and stuff. So, I mean, uh, I don't remember him back in concert, and that was a long time ago, as good as this album is. This album was very good. Will I listen to it again? Absolutely. In fact, I'm going to go mow the lawn in a little while. I'll turn on that Cooper baby, and I'll be buzzing Rose. So, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. This is a fine for when you expect old rockers to come back, they sometimes go to a different style, or let's go down this road. He went down his road, right. And it's rock, pure and simple, baby, rock. Marky.
If you consider yourself a highly evolved music aficionado, good luck. Then maybe this is not the album you should be checking out, but I still have hope you can join us in the commoner's ear, throwing out your rules so you can join us on the real music multiverse road. Finally, in the three, I always have to. When Richard Patrick comes out of the studio and has a record, I'm all in. Richard Patrick obviously is the everything behind the band Filter. Filter's been around for many years. This is the 8th studio album. They don't make one every year, but this is a 7-year hiatus. So it's overdue. We got that iconic scream, industrialized alternative rock. The world's gone to a fresh new hell during that time, so he's got plenty of shit to write about and scream and rage about. So what did we get here? The perfectly titled The Algorithm. Of course it is. While the age of the screamer is showing in the vocal arena, he's still a force to be reckoned with in production and industrialized music. The album is a hint more relentless than those that I remember in the past, as there is very little break in the heaviness to both the lyrics, the tone, and the unabashed bashing of sounds, including the addition of EDM and drops, which were present on a prior record, but more so heavy used here. The record has hints and past sound. Obviously, there was some talk about the reunion with him and some that there was going to be a reversion of the Short Bus. But that didn't really truthfully happen. But you can tell there are songs here that came out of those sessions. We're just one small step from obliteration is a prime example of the familiarity, but also the demanding requirement your ears must endure to embrace everything on this instrumentation table, whether they're actually instruments or purposely designed tormented computerizations. God, I love that. Let's take a listen. The sonic explosion of nearly every single song on this record is layered and thrusted upon us while you remember the title or not. Understanding the maybe that this modern algorithm itself is kind of playing havoc on this. When you look back at this record, what you're going to see is this thrashing of sounds, the balance between the heavy, the sonic, the tempo, and its catchiness. It's their formula. Well, it's unique filter sound, isn't it? They balance everything perfectly, and that's Patrick's formula. Oh no, kind of created a paradox there, didn't I? When you think about it, it's kind of worthy of a Cloverfield movie. There are two moments on this record that don't fit the paradox. Summer Child and Threshing Floor, which are more of a hard rock guitar with catchy riff. There's no trickery, just a band, the raw vocalist delivering it as crazy as he possibly can. This also comes around again, as filter fans know, there's usually a lower key in the lighter moment of a record. In this case, they do it at the end. Or is that another paradox? A re-paradox? Oh shit, just stop. Just like, comment quick before they change our environment again by the algorithm. Filter fans, this is for you. No reason to be careful. It's short bus in places and a brand new modern runaway train in others. It's 9 Inch Nails on some cool steroid with a dash of Skrillex and a shitload of extremely well done guitar work. There are plenty of themes in the album's lyrics, heavy and contemplative, which is always the best part of Filter, in my opinion. For those looking to enjoying the algorithm, tread lightly. I promise it will grow on you, past the catchy backing tracks and the industrial grooves. Let the paradox continue, I suppose. Finally, what were the extras? What are the 3 albums that I gorged myself on afterwards? Well, let's get back to Jonas Hellborg for a minute. Thanks to Bardo Records, they also decided to send me Anna Patan, or Patan, Romanian singer-songwriter and jazz rock guitarist. She's been a little unknown in our region, but when you're traveling in Europe, she's been quite the song guitar bird in Germany, England, and even Australia. Her new record, Spice, Gold, and Stories Untold, is an album dedicated to the songwriter, the story, and the melodic jazz rawness that surrounds it. And she brings in some big guns, like Jonas Hellborg, but not only drops in with some rawness of his own, but also Devin Townsend, Yona Herrera, which means she loves to pay attention to that bass. It's all about that bass. And it works so well with her vocal delivery. If you're familiar with Patricia Barber, maybe she's meeting a little Annie DeFranco here. Kind of a unique coolness to the voice, which is definitely on show for this song called General Conspiracy.
General conspiracy, trying to keep you away from me. General conspiracy, trying to keep you safe from me. I did my best to get there on time, but it seemed to find that all too fine. There's a general conspiracy.
Great guitar, bass line, and her unadulterated vocal feels so natural in it all. And this is what you get through a lot of the recording. There's an ebb, there's a flow that's comforting and yet aware. There's a bit of calypso in this too, which is great. And the other side of you might feel that the guitar version, there's a certain Nora Jones-like quality. Either way, if you like this, you'll be working your way back in her catalog with attention from great players like Hellborg, Townsend, and the drummer from the Flower Kings. We'll just call him Zoltan because I can't pronounce his last name. There's a Prague audience that might be checking this out as well. Next one up, Jean-Baptiste always seems to be, to me, to be a talented pianist and collaborator, considering the likes of people he's had the privilege of working with, people like Prince, some others that Lenny Kravitz. He certainly has a soul of music in his grasp. Of course, I've listened to his prior albums, and they've been good, but some of the acclaim is a bit too much, which I believe might be possibly because they're sharpening their social awareness, which is hogwash. An album's critical acclaim should never come from anything other than the strength of the music, musicianship, and production. His new album, World Music Radio, is finally one that I can really say that I believe has a real catch and release to it. I love the playful radio setup, the in and out soulful arrangements that are wrapped around his piano, but also around his guests, which range from Lil Wayne to Kenny G. I picked the song Boom for Real to kind of showcase a bit more as its strong modern vibe production. Dare I say, Talking Heads background along with that funkness. Of course, there are still some wonderful piano ticklings and ballading going on. The album is a smorgasbord of familiar sounds, in all honesty, which is the one slight negative of the album in the concept here, because I don't think the world side of this seems to be a little bit one-dimensional. It still doesn't mean that this is not a great background, soul-filling album to put on with tight production and a little bit of something for everyone in the world to enjoy. I know I'll put it on. Finally, third album. That's 6. It's crazy. I'm giving too much. Asking Alexandria, or should I say Alexandria asking, where do we go from here? Let me make this clear that I've been a fan of Danny Worsnop as a vocalist since it was revealed to me that he can sing the blues. Oh, I'm going to credit that panelist, what's his name, Alex Kolusny, for bringing that to my attention. So maybe he's not always wrong. I like what this band has been experimenting and messing with, and even duplicating in the post-metalcore environment. They deliver a high-octane performance, and anyone knocking that from the genre's perspective doesn't have an ear to stand on. Yes, post-metalcore could probably use something right now. It seems like it's at a wall, but it's not necessarily a bad thing that the sound is identifiable. But what it is necessary is delivery, sincerity, and very little cover-up, which this band does, and they deliver. Each album has great production, songwriting, bends and twists along the road. And while there are high elements of Fall Out Boy, Maroonish, Five-ish, and even I Prevail nods, it's still a hell of a listen for those that like the genre music. They even let the shredding on this track fill it fire. This certainly shows more of what's going on in concept, right? Seriously. I see comments and reviews right now that Worsnop they can hear his country twang. Who cares? Isn't that something different? I'm confused. It's still melodic. It still fits the songwriting and overall movement of music. I don't even like country, but because the guy has a little countryness to his voice, you're going to throw out a record? Doesn't make any sense to me. What is most unique is the fact that the album title song, the last song, and to me, it's as if they are asking that question honestly. Where do we go from here? Which is pretty cool, but it's pretty damning at the same time, considering how fast this record came out from the previous. Take it how you will, but there's nothing wrong with this album and its wild post-metalcore delivery. I'm hoping to have another one, but I have a fear. I want to thank Bardo Records again for sending me the 2 albums. My hat off to Jonas Hellborg and everything that he does. And I also want to thank the Grateful Dude for chiming in on a couple of albums. I'm glad he enjoyed the Alice Cooper Road. I will remind other record companies out there, anywhere in the music multiverse, that we do love to do these reviews, whether it's in our wheelhouse or not. Send us anything from art pop to alt country to, well, I doubt many brat people are probably listening to this show, but hey, if so, send it. We'll do this again next week, and I'll give you a little preview. We're going to do a band called the Paper Kites from Australia, a Korean pianist named Soo-Yoon Kim, and, well, got to bring out some psychedelic, so we're going to try out the new Moon Coven. We're on the web at www.beyondyourradio.com, where you can read this review. Tomorrow is Unknown Sundays featuring Zhu. What? Check it out. Next Sunday, we've got the catalog review show, Led Zeppelin. Don't miss that one. It'll be crazy good. Thank you for watching, and happy listening.